Hi, everyone. So today we're actually going to learn about how to conserve or save our planet, save our environment. In our previous lecture, we talked about how humans negatively impacted the environment. So now what we're going to talk about is how we can actually save or help the environment or undo some of these negative effects that we've caused, or some of these negative things that we've caused to happen in our environment. So I'm going to go ahead and share our screen with you and begin our lesson. All right. So today we're going to be talking about conservation. So how do we conserve? How do we use, protect, and conserve natural resources that are impacting our environment in a negative way to build a better life for the generations after us? So what role do humans play in maintaining ecosystems? Right? So how do we help the ecosystems? How do we ensure that the ecosystems are stable and can continue? Conservation is the careful use and protection of Earth's renewable and non-renewable resources. Scientists, politicians, business people, and everyday citizens around the world are working to conserve and save our natural environments. Conservation begins with environmental stewardship. Stewardship means taking responsibility for something. So environmental stewardship is taking responsibility for Earth's environment, its resources. We take responsibility by planning how we're going to manage these resources and foster sustainability. To sustain means to keep going. So the ability of a population or ecosystem to survive indefinitely, hopefully forever, is called sustainability. If I want to sustain the life that I'm living right now, I'm going to make sure I do whatever I can to benefit my living situation so I can continue on with the resources and conditions that I have. So how can we achieve sustainability? Sustainable development is when we develop ways to meet our needs without depleting or decreasing the amount of supplies of natural resources or damaging the environment. For example, we can recycle paper so we don't have to cut down more trees to make paper. Sustainable development also involves careful community planning. So we need to make sure that we plan to build homes that are closer to schools and businesses so we don't have to drive as far. That reduces the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. We also need to make sure that we carefully construct our buildings. We need to build our homes with more solar panels or homes that use less electricity. Not only will it save you money, but it saves us from having to use non-renewable resources to continue our living space. And lastly, we need to improve agricultural land. So we need to conserve or save the soil. Every time we plant new plants, we are eroding or taking away soil. Soil conservation is when after years of planting crops, fields can actually lose their nutrients. But to protect the soil, we can nourish them with organic matter or living matter, or matter with organic molecules, like poop and dead plant clippings. Plants need nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, and water. So if we nourish them with organic matter that has nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen in it, the soil will have more nutrients. We also can plant cover crops to prevent erosion. Cover crops are crops that cover the soil. It's cheaper to protect the soil than it is to buy new soil. Cover crops are planted to prevent erosion. They cover and protect the soil. Erosion is when the soil or land is transported away from its original location. So that could be sand blown away or washed out to sea, or soil that is carried away by water. We can also conserve our environment by protecting endangered species. Endangered species are species whose populations are so small that it's in danger of extinction. And remember, if the organism goes extinct, we can never bring it back. So some examples are like rhinos, gorillas, green sea turtles, and so many others. You can click on this link to see the many other kinds of animals that are on the brink of extinction. In order to protect these endangered species, we can create laws to protect organisms. So these laws will make it illegal to hunt or kill or collect them. And it can restrict the use of chemicals and pollutants that can harm them. We can also protect these endangered species by helping the organisms breed. Many zoos have breeding programs that help to increase the number of endangered organisms. To breed means to put a male and a female in a controlled setting to increase their chances of them producing a baby. We can also protect endangered species by acting on habitat restoration. Habitat restoration is when we improve conditions of damaged habitats to return it to the way it was before it was disturbed. So basically, we're rebuilding their homes. For example, eastern oysters are a very important keystone species. Keystone species are species that play very important roles in an ecosystem. If it's lost, it can affect many other populations in the ecosystem. So eastern oysters are very, 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 very important to North Carolina's ecosystems. So scientists are trying to increase their population by size by restoring the estuary in which they live, which is a type of water. So let's look at this. Which species is more at risk? Is it the herbivore that lives in a variety of habitats all over Africa? Or is it the herbivore that only lives in one large field in Tanzania? The field in Tanzania gets very hot and there's a drought and the grass stops growing. Which population will survive and why? Yes, species 2 is more at risk because it only lives in one large field. Whereas species 1 has a variety of habitats it can survive in. So the species that's at more risk is the species that has less variety in the places that it can live and survive. We can also use renewable resources to conserve. Renewable resources can be replenished after use and create less pollution, so they are better for the environment. We can use solar energy. We can use the sun. We can use the sun's energy through solar panels to power our homes and our cars. We can use windmills. Windmills use wind to produce energy. We can use geothermal energy, which is the process of using heat from inside the earth, geo meaning earth, thermal meaning heat. We can use biofuel, life fuel, which is the process of using plants to make energy. And we can use hydro energy, which is the process of using water to generate energy. So we can use renewable resources in order to power our everyday lives. So think about this. Why is conservation so important? And what are some examples of conservation what are some examples of conservation efforts that are being done by humans to make sure that the earth survives for the generations to come? All right, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.